some interesting sales numbers for June console wise. PlayStation 4 overall took it for the month of June, but the Xbox One was the top selling console the week of E3. Yeah. And I'm not sure why, because I feel like with the way Sony crushed it at E3, that would have been the week where the numbers would have just been astronomically in Sony's favor.
Because I said this the week they announced it, and I've been sticking by it the whole time. Because Microsoft fucking lied!
About what?
Backwards compatibility of their Xbox One
that's
console.
probably what sparked the interest.
Yeah. They're all like, you get backwards compatibility to the system, come get it and then play all your X. And they're like, everybody's all like, nah. We're focusing on like new generation stuff. We're not going to fucking
Microsoft didn't lie. It's just no companies have committed to doing. And the guys on I was listening to this week's Giant Bombcast, and Gersman brought up a good point where he was like, why would these companies want to license these 360 games to play on the Xbox One when all of these companies are already finding so much success just re-releasing these games and charging you full fucking price again?
Have you seen how much? Have you seen the specs on the Rare collection?
Was it like 50 gigs to install? So is every game an individual install? Is that
I don't know,
I missed,
but how much space does actually owning?
I mean, if they bought one during E3, I think a terabyte.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've noticed, but most of these games on next-gen systems...
Well, no, it wasn't a mentioning out of
isn't
shock.
Wolfenstein like 45?
Wolfenstein is 49 gigs.
It wasn't
49.
mentioning it out of shock. I was just curious as to how if you went backwards on that, how much space would those games take?
That's
see,
interesting.
They just this is exactly why people don't fucking trust video game companies and shit anymore. Like, they were made a very big promise. People went out and bought new Xbox Ones because they were like, fuck it, backwards compatibility sounds awesome. They don't know enough about what they're buying to know any better, and now they're just sitting there with a fucking system they may not have wanted because they were fucking misled.
Well, no, because Sunset Overdrive.
That's not
I don't know. I have no idea.
But no, I do feel like
I will give you Sunset Overdrive. Sunset Overdrive, honestly, if I were ever to get an Xbox One, that would be like the first game I go to get for it.
Okay, here's my argument here. See, if it was me and I wanted to go buy an Xbox One, I would have traded in all my old hardware and all my games to get the most value I could out of it to trade in to be able to buy my new shit.
A lot of people don't do that though. Also, I mean, but I'm with you on that.
No, that's my on my perspective and side of the fence. That's what I would have done. And it's kind of like at the point where it's like, man, I just traded all those games, and now you're saying there's backwards compatibility.
Well, see, I don't remember. I can't cite sources on it, but I feel like that got brought up a couple times. Like, I feel like I brought it up. A couple other people brought it up when me and people were talking about it. Like, me and some friends were talking about it. Yeah. Some of my coworkers were. A lot of people did, in fact, trade in all their stuff when they got it. So to announce backwards compatibility a year in is like still slapping people in the face who upgraded to their new system by trading in their oldest system because this wasn't announced from the start.
Yes.
Like, because these people went and traded in their 360. They traded in all their 360 games because they're not going to get no more use out of them. They want that new next-gen system, so they gave up all that shit. And then a year into the life cycle, they're all like, but wait, you can now use those 360 games. So those people feel fucked over too.
Right.
I'm sure GameStop is pretty stoked about this, but people are going to come back and buy back all that shit they just traded into us.
Boys, bring out all the Mass Effect 3. No, sir, wrong copy. I don't know. But I mean, I think there's a lot more factors in it because it was a good tech show.
I don't want to use the word. I'm going to use the word anyway because me and Michael were talking about it. You both were in the room. I don't know if you were talking about it, but
I think I was asleep.
No, you were sitting here. You didn't have an opinion on it at the time when me and Michael were talking about it. Like, this is why people are super skeptical about paying, like voting with their fucking wallets, because Microsoft told them they were going to have something, and now that thing is not really coming to fruition. And it was the same thing why I'm not buying Destiny.
Right.
But everybody else is. Like, I'm not buying Destiny because fuck that. I'm not paying that much money for an expansion. Or I'm not buying the Destiny expansion, the Taken King, because I'm not paying that much money for one expansion. I don't feel like that game could sustain another year, especially off a $40 expansion. nobody else sees that. Everybody else is just all like, well, if we got to do it, we got to do it. And that's exactly why companies like Microsoft think they can get away with this shit. Like, I mean, I know, like, me bitching about it here isn't going to, like, topple the industry that is Microsoft or anything, but, like I'm not going to be fucking naive about it.
Dream big.
I mean, this is our outlet, you know? I mean, it's the best that we've got.
I get what you're saying. I understand, like,
when
the
we
whole,
did
the
E3
sense of
week
betrayal.
and
But,
we, like, off air, like, before we even, like, recorded the episode, I was really negative. I was really skeptical of a lot of stuff they announced there, and, you know, Michael tried to ease my concerns and fears, saying, they know what they're doing, you know, and I was just very negative about it, and when we recorded the episode, I kind of held back a little because I didn't want to come off like a biased asshole who just really fucking hated Microsoft. I feel like they came out and tried to do a big mic drop moment because of their very subpar E3 thing.
But see, this is the thing. It's like, I can't necessarily blame Microsoft too much for this. Their goals here are noble. They have a good idea, okay? I mean, yes, too little too late, possibly, but just the fact that what they want to offer this to their consumers as kind of a goodwill gesture, that's fine. I get that. But where the whole thing blew up in their face, I guess, was, you know, they didn't talk this over with all these other companies who own these games, that they have to now go back and reacquire these licenses. They didn't have any of that stuff pre-negotiated before this came through, so that's where they fucked up. Because, I mean, Kotaku had that article where, I guess it was Patrick Klepek over on Kotaku went through and was personally, like, getting in touch with all of these developers. I mean, like, hey, you know, what are your plans for this? And they're like, we have nothing to announce at this time, you know, blah, 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 blah. Just excuse after excuse after excuse as to why they're not really worrying about this. And mainly because, like, you know, guys on Giant Bomb said, was they would rather sell you these games again as some sort of definitive edition or in some kind of a collection or something like that than let you play it on your system now. Red Dead Redemption was high in the run. It was like number one for weeks to be, you know, the most voted on game to get, you know,
that was just me using different screen names, by the way.
Oh, okay. Your efforts have been in vain because Red Dead Redemption has now been taken over by Black Ops 2. That is now the most requested game. Snoop Dogg wants NCAA 14, and he's pushing real hard for that on Twitter. Yeah, and it's moved up to the 7th of 78 pages of requests. So we'll see how that goes. But there just doesn't seem to be a lot of interest from these companies in doing this. And really, I can't think of a better reason other than they would rather just resell it in some sort of way.
So it becomes a damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario. It's not that hard to have gone to the... Like, if you're going to go for this big mic drop moment, it wasn't that hard for them to go around to a couple of developers and be all like, would you mind just a couple games? You know, how about you guys?
Yeah, but I don't think it lies solely in the gullibility of consumers. I think it was like some of the other tech demos that some of the other games mentioned did bring people in.
Yeah, like, but like, look how Microsoft like almost shot the announcement in the ass from the get-go when, you know, like, yes, your Xbox 360 games will be backwards compatible. First list of things that they release has shit in it that's on the Rare collection that themselves are trying to resell you. Yeah. Like, what the fuck kind of a business strategy is that? Like,
it's like, let's hurt the consumers and the producers.
It's stupid.
You know? When people were saying they did not want to give up their old hardware to move on to the new hardware, Microsoft tried to alleviate their fears by telling them, hey, you buy an Xbox One.
I see. I don't even think that was the reason. Backwards compatibility was put in because Xbox One sales are not doing well.
But that's what I'm saying.
For people to just for Microsoft to say, "Oh man, people are too scared to move on to next gen." Those people are fucking stupid.
I'm not saying
you have to move on at some point.
I'm saying though that at that point of the cycle, and the PlayStation cycle, there weren't games. Like, a lot of people don't want to move on because they're scared. They don't want to move on because, you know, they have like a fucking collection of like 60, 70 Xbox 360 games. They don't want to buy just like the whole $300 console now for the one or two Xbox One games they want.
For Sunset Overdrive.
I mean, with Microsoft, that's the name of the game though, man. That's like how it goes.
Like, I don't want to call it a Hail Mary, but it's kind of a Hail Mary where they were all like, we're buy our system and you can use those. You don't have to trade in your Xbox 360 games. Buy the Xbox One. We'll let you keep playing.
I fucking wish backwards compatibility was never a thing. You know, it was a fluke that we got it on the PS2. It was just a total accident that ended up happening. So, and that just people just got fucking entitled and thought that was something that they were owed. And I'm sick of it. It's stupid, man. If you want to play the new games, get the new console. I mean, that's how it has to be, man. It's you can't sit here and complain that the new machine doesn't play your old games. That was never a thing in the past until the PS2. And then all of a sudden, people just thought that's something they should have from here on out.
And I'm perfectly fine with keeping my legacy consoles on the shelf.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, totally. It's not asking a lot. I mean,
copy or whatever.
Don't bitch. If there's not enough games on the new system to warrant your purchase yet, cool. Wait, you have every reason in the world to do so.
I'm not arguing with you there. I wholeheartedly 100% agree with you. But Microsoft tried to convince them otherwise, and they were entirely misled.
Yeah.
So it creates a culture of people who are all like, we can't vote with our wallets. We're damned if we do. We're damned if we don't. We're getting fucked over by somebody, so we might as well just keep doing whatever they fucking tell us to.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's gonna. We'll see later on this year when that thing actually like ramps up into full like access, so everybody has it, and we'll see how it goes from there. Yeah.
And I'm sure occasionally when a developer has some downtime in between their whatever big title they're pushing for whatever console, they'll happily sit down and be like, okay. But again, like with people already making the point, like, well, you don't have to make that compatible. You can just put it in a new box art and call it the fancy edition and sell that shit for $60 again. Like, why the fuck are you telling these kids that they can? Hey, you already bought it on 360. Here's some good faith stuff. Like, if I was a business person, I don't have a qualm